What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with my Fury Warrior 9.1.5 guide. I'm going to be talking about talents, macros, a little bit about the rotation, and the strengths and weaknesses of playing Fury Warrior in PvP. So let's start off with the talents right here. So, now this, it's a little bit of more of my opinion on some of the rows, but more or less, this is pretty much what you will always play as Fury. So the first tier, you have choices between sudden death and fresh meat. But throughout testing sudden death and massacre together, execute is much weaker on Fury than it is other specs. So I just prioritize having as much enrage time as possible as Fury. So I went with fresh meat right here. The next tier, all of these talents are actually very viable, especially in 2s and BGs. Combining double time with Warbringer actually has some insane Fury Warrior burst because your mastery also increases the damage of your Warbringer. Impending Victory got buffed in 9.1.5, I believe. It could have been 9.1, but I'm pretty sure it was the most recent patch. And it now heals for 40% of your max health. So if you take Impending Victory and you're full geared Necrolord Fury Warrior, you have incredible amounts of healing as long as you're not CC'd. This tier, some people may disagree with me, but I run Onslaught 100% of the time. I tested Massacre, and for reasons I stated before, Execute just not hitting as hard as it does for arms and it having a cooldown. I just find that outside of Execute windows, I need to be generating as much rage as possible so I can either get my Ignore Pains off, which cost more rage than arms, or to get Rampages off to guarantee my enrages, or just Hamstrings, anything. And Onslaught doesn't hit, it's not a small number. When you're enraged, you can get this thing to hit for like 12 to 15k. It hits pretty hard. The 35 row, I never swap out of Warpaint. Some people might get baited into running Furious Charge. It's just not worth it. Warpaint in combination with Enduring Rage, I'll talk about this a little later, are a really good talent pair. Cruelty, again, this is a talent I never change out of on this tier either. Raging Blow, when combined with Reckless Abandon, increases the damage exponentially. Like, Crushing Blow is your hardest hitting ability as Fury, at least with the spec that I'm running, and you will be absolutely pumping out the Raging Blows / Crushing Blows whenever you are enraged. Now, the 45 tier, sometimes you can actually get away with memeing and go Dragon Roar with the Siegebreaker Legendary, but it's not a spec that I run at the moment. I run Bladestorm with Signet of Tormented Kings right here. This ring, the legendary ring, which every time you Bladestorm, it either gives you a mini Recklessness or Avatar. And so does your Recklessness. Your Recklessness either gives you a Bladestorm or an Avatar. So really cool that we have two ways to proc this ability right here. And Reckless Abandon. So this increases the damage of your Bloodthirst and your Crushing Blow, and generates 50 rage, and your Crushing Blow is a miniature charge. I love it. It feels really good. And let's move on to the PvP talents. So unlike arms, Fury isn't very flexible with its PvP talents. I find myself locked into Warbringer, Enduring Rage, and Slaughterhouse almost 90% of the time. There are very few opportunities where I find myself able to safely swap out of abilities. For example, Enduring Rage, it has very good synergy with Warpaint and Cruelty, and Reckless Abandon. It lets you keep your enrage up, which gives you damage reduction and increases your damage through your mastery, gives you haste. However, the other two talents are also super mandatory. Warbringer has insane burst. You can hit up to 20k charges when you have your Avatar, your Recklessness, and your Conquer Banner active. And you're enraged. So this is almost a one-shot. And then Slaughterhouse is Fury's version of Mortal Strikes. But to be fair, this kind of plays more like Necrotic Strike from Unholy rather than a standard Mortal Strike. It's something that you build up over time and try to maintain with your Rampages. So of these three talents, if I had to swap out of something, it really depends on the matchup. Like, for example, if I am fighting a Rogue, I might drop my Enduring Rage or my Warbringer for Disarm. But again, it's... I'm sorry, I might drop Warbringer for disarm. And against a warrior, I might drop my Enduring Rage for disarm. Because Enduring Rage really helps against rogues and against other warriors. You know, even though the 2-second root and extra damage is really nice in Warbringer, you really need disarm for either the enemy Fury Warriors Recklessness or the enemy Arms Warriors Warbreaker. It's just very helpful to have. I just don't find myself having much room for talents like Master and Commander. You can swap into Blood Rage on very niche scenarios, such as against a Druid team. You can maybe drop the Enduring Rage because, you know, you're not going to get the uptime to Raging Blow unless you have the uptime to actually Raging Blow. So there you go. There's your Root Break. Battle Trance, I really was married to this talent for a while until I tried out Warbringer. Really, the choice was between Warbringer and Battle Trance for another damage talent, and Warbringer wins every time. It just deals more damage, has more utility, has a nice root. Battle Trance can be nice when you are an undergeared Fury Warrior, providing an extra heal, some more rage because you don't have enough haste. But when you're geared or even semi-geared, this setup right here is probably your best PvP setup. All right, now I'll talk about Covenants a little bit. In my opinion, the best Fury Covenant is Necrolord. And the reason being is Fury really struggles in the defensive department, and Necrolord really helps with survivability through Ooze Frictionless Coating and Fleshcraft, providing a little bit of extra defensive cooldowns. Conquer Banner does a ton of damage. Mastery provides flat increased damage during Enrage, so it does a bunch in that department. It gives you more strength. My conduits are Depths of Insanity, Stalwart Guardian, Veteran's Repute, Inspiring Presence, and if you're running 2s, you can swap this out, or 2s or 3s, you can swap this out with Safeguard. Hack and Slash, which is great. It provides another chance at getting a refund on your Raging Blow, in addition to the talent Cruelty. And, you know, during your wreck, that becomes Crushing Blow, so even more damage. Disturb the Peace, my favorite Finesse Conduit, reducing Piercing Howl's cooldown. Piercing Howl is great. Guys, spam this on cooldown. 70% slow is fantastic. And then you have Kevin's Oozling lasting for 40 seconds because Conqueror Banner is such a long cooldown. I find that this is generally the best setup for BGs. You know, maybe swap out Inspiring Presence for Safeguard and Arena, but Indelible Victory. I tried this out in BGs, didn't really like it. Did not do as much healing as I thought it was going to do. I'll test it out when I get a larger version of it, but still, heal over time was meh at best. Yeah, that's about it for the Covenant. In terms of the Legendary, Signet of Tormented Kings is really, really good on Fury, especially with Conquer Banner. You can use, for example, you know, get in combat, get in rage, pop a Bladestorm on someone into a Rampage, or some cooldowns that way, and then kill them with a Conquer Banner Recklessness afterwards. Really nice pair. Alternatively, there are some honorable mention legendaries, which is really just Unhinged. Unhinged is interesting on Fury because, you know, your Bladestorm deals a lot of damage, but then you're hitting a few Mortal Strikes. It does not do as much damage as Signet of Tormented Kings. So if you really like that legendary and you want to go between Arms and Fury a lot, you can run Unhinged. Unhinged is good with Kyrian, or it's better with Kyrian in my opinion, because you can trap someone in a spear, Bladestorm on top of them, does more damage with the Mortal Strike. You know, that's kind of nice. But yeah, your Avatar Wreck Bladestorms will still do more with a Conquer Banner as Fury. Yeah, that's about it for the Legendary and Covenant opinions. Shout out to Varian, the OG Fury Warrior, which in Wrath of the Lich King, I saw fighting Horde using Bladestorm as Fury. That was the coolest thing. Alright, now let's get into the rotation. Alright, so the Fury Warrior burst rotation goes as follows. You want to charge, get in rage, get enough rage to press a Rampage. Then you're going to Conquer Banner, Rampage into a Recklessness Rampage. If you do get a Bladestorm on this Recklessness proc with your Signet Legendary, it depends. You got to look. Are you going to get CC'd? If you're going to get CC'd, let the Bladestorm sit. If you're not going to get CC'd, cancel it into a Rampage Crushing Blow spam. This will be the highest single target burst you can do, and then you can follow it up at the very end with a Bladestorm of itself. All right, so let me give an example real quick. We're going to charge. We're going to get enraged. There it is. We're going to banner, do a rampage, cancel that, rampage. So we got a double rampage. Third rampage, crushing blow spam, bloodthirst, rampage, crushing blow, rampage, crushing blow, rampage, crushing blow. And that's more or less your burst rotation. I'm going to cancel the Kevin's Oozling right there. You can use your Bladestorm to set up a separate mini go. You can either use it to bait out the cooldowns before, or use it to kill and finish after. But make sure when you Bladestorm, you also have your Enrage. Now this would have done even more damage if I procced an Avatar on my Recklessness instead. So let's take a look here. Our Crushing Blow, it does show up as 2 damage instances. It dealt a maximum of 13k main hand with a 5.1k offhand. Insane damage. Super big. Rampages going in 6 cats for almost 70k damage. Not too bad. Crushing Blow actually does hit harder than Rampage, interestingly enough. Your melees are going in there and slapping. Melee attack damage did get buffed for Fury Warrior in 915. Yeah, guys, between your Rampage and your Crushing Blow, your single target damage is going to peak at like 8 to 10k DPS in PvP. It is absolutely insane. I would have had 20% more damage on top of that if we procced an Avatar, but unfortunately we did not, and I canceled the Bladestorm. I can show an example of how much damage Bladestorm does in single target right now. So it's either pre-go, you're trying to bait cooldowns, or post-go, you're trying to kill. Just get in there, you get enraged, and then the Bladestorm. I got an Avatar Bladestorm right here. Come out, you hit a Rampage, does fairly solid damage. Avatar does not last as long on Fury if you proc from a Bladestorm, but that is okay. Let's see, single target, the Bladestorm 13. It did like 20, 21, just over 21k damage. That's not bad, especially since it channels so quickly on Fury. 3.4 seconds, super good damage. Now, outside your burst rotation, it's really just a maintenance of keeping your Enraged up, keeping your Raging Blow cooldown, or your Raging Blow charges on cooldown, and hitting your Bloodthirst and Raging Blow. And then in the downtime, the Whirlwind. Try and maintain your slows. You are, unfortunately, not going to be able to maintain the 40% Slaughterhouse debuff all the time. If you get some lucky procs, you will be able to, you know, kind of keep it up in between your cooldowns. But between not getting enough rage, getting unlucky, getting CC'd, the effect is going to fall, and it's mostly going to be a 4-stack. But yeah, Fury rotation, very simple. Burst rotation, also very simple. And you can get creative with it, doing it in different orders. But typically, it is the, you know, get in here, Walker Banner, Rampage, you know, big damn. Oh, yep, and there's the example of the the charge on Crushing Blow. It's about the range of Final Verdict, actually. I think it's like 10, 12 yards. Yeah, does a really big damn. All right, let me talk about the gear real quick. So for Fury, the priority is as follows. Your Burst is your best stat, then Haste, then Mastery, then Crit. The reason Crit is so low, especially compared to prior expansions, is because you just get plenty of crit during your goes from your Recklessness and your Bladestorm. Bladestorm can proc Rec, which is 20% crit. Baseline, you have 8% crit, and I will be lowering my crit just a little bit. I did get a weapon out of a box a while back, so that is why I have a crit weapon still. My offhand is the Burst Mastery weapon, which I will eventually replace this when I get the honor. When I get the honor to farm it out, and then also I have a crit verse Helm, which I'll be replacing with a Burst Mastery. But everything else is priority Burst Haste, with those pieces that I can't get Burst Haste on being Burst Mastery. Alright, now I'll talk a little bit about my macros I use for Fury. I still have a decent amount of macros on Fury. Not nearly as many as Red Paladin, but it still has some. So my first macro is my Bloodthirst Shift modifier. This just lets me, you know, if I'm Raging Blow, not Bloodthirst. If I'm Raging Blowing a single target and I hold Shift, it'll swap it to Whirlwind. Very simple macro, just a playstyle. Charge, this is probably your most important macro. This will cancel your bladestorm with your charge bind. So you don't really have to get a separate button for your cancel bladestorms, and this counts from both your rec bladestorms and your normal bladestorms. And it's also mouseover intervene. I do have other intervene buttons though, so let me just show an example of this. Bladestorming, cancel charge, just with R. And then, you know, for example, I will also, if I mouse over a friendly character, it will intervene them all in one button. Very nice to have. I don't use that at the moment. I have 2 intervene macros, one for my DPS and then the other for my healer. I will just go between these. I have them binded on Z and X over here. I have a shift modifier, focus, intimidating, shout. So if I am, you know, I have this guy target as my focus and I want this guy to be the one that stands still, I want him to not move, then I'll shift fear him. If I do want him to run away, then I'll just fear the primary target. Leap right here. This is an @cursor leap macro, so I don't have to use the targeting circle. Boom, leap up on top of the building. Really cool. Actually, that's super weird. That's never worked for me before. It has always said path not available. Fascinating. I have a shift modifier macro for my pummel. This just makes it so I pummel my focus if I'm holding shift. And then all the other macros pretty standard. Same setup for my slow. It's just it goes from hamstring to piercing howl if I'm holding shift, and then stormbolt from primary target to focus target based on shift as well. Oh my gosh, I have shockwave in this. This macro is very, very ancient. Back in the day, you used to have to choose between shockwave and stormbolt. So this macro just let me do that with one button. So yeah, Fury Warrior, pretty standard on macros. I'll leave them in the description of the video if you guys need them. All right, that's about it for this guide. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/LvladenPvP. And I'll see you all next video. Thank you for the support. Peace.